Hey there, and welcome back again to YAS, a stripper podcast. On this podcast, we'll discuss how classifying each other as people and workers is dangerous to society and marginalized groups of people. We'll also talk about the climate in and outside of the strip clubs and all of the amazing things that strippers do. And of course, we'll talk about all of the things in between. I'm your queen, A.M. Davies, and this is YAS, a stripper podcast. Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of YAS, a stripper podcast. Today's format is very different. We decided to have strippers call in from all over the world. We have mostly American strippers, but also from the UK and from Canada as well. And the reason I wanted to do a podcast this way, an episode this way, is because I really wanted to hear other people's voices and get a real idea of what's going on with them. And I just wanted to listen. And I was telling somebody the other day about how throughout this journey that I've been on, which is being an advocate for strippers, that I had to learn over time how to truly listen. And I thought I was a good listener for a long time. And it kind of just dawned on me overnight one day that I wasn't really truly listening to what strippers want or what they're going through. I had learned all this new information and I was just spitting it back at them as information that they needed to know. And it was the only information they needed to know. And it was the right information. And I didn't take the time to sit back and think of their perspectives or their individual experiences. And so that's why we're having this format today. Basically, so I can shut the fuck up as much as possible, which is really hard for me to do, and just listen to what's going on in their world. Because quite frankly, I spend a lot of my time being very angry at club managers and owners, but there are people out there that are at least trying to do the right thing. And I think that I need to be reminded that people are people, and in every industry and in every part of life, there are people who do things that you really like and appreciate and people who do things that you don't. And the strip club industry is no different. It's made up of people. And it's how people choose to be, not about how owners or employers of strip clubs choose to be. It's how those people choose to be. And that's what the real crux of all of this is. It's determining who's helping and who's hurting, and to create a dialogue around that so we can all learn and figure out how to support each other, because this is going to take a lifetime to reform this industry and create happiness and abundance around it. So we're not doing 4-for-1 today. We're not doing stripper tips. We are just listening to these amazing dancers tell their stories and to connect with them. So I hope you enjoy. Everyone, we now have Isis on the line. Hi, Isis. Thank you for calling in.
Hi.
Hi. Isis, can you tell everyone where you're calling from today?
I'm calling from St. Louis, Missouri.
Lovely. And do you work? Are you a stripper in St. Louis, or are you just home for COVID?
I actually dance in Illinois because we're sister states.
Yeah.
And Missouri has this weird jurisdiction thing where they're like, you can have women in bikinis and there could be liquor. So Illinois has a 24-hour liquor license and way more free range of dance. So I just drive like 8 minutes over to Illinois.
Oh, I see. So it's like you're super close to the other state.
Yes.
That's genius. Got it. Okay, tight. And how long have you been a stripper for?
This year is 15 years.
Oh, great. We've got a veteran. Yes.
Yeah.
Me too. 18 years. Nice. So here's what we want to know. We're very curious about what work life was for you before COVID-19, like before things got weird. Like, were you treated well? Were you making money? Do you understand your rights as a worker? What's the overall vibe you were experiencing before COVID-19?
Well, I work for a club that has numerous clubs around the country. So I've gotten to work at a few of our clubs, but I am solely at our cabaret, which is like our mother club, one of our top clubs. And it's always been, I love the people I work with. I absolutely do. If you ask any dancers, we all are like it's the guests sometimes that bother us, never each other, you know.
Okay,
Like,
good.
yeah, so we have a good solid family. It was a little up and down for the past few months, but it actually started picking up a little bit before it got to this point. But they were keeping us aware of what was going on and what measures they were taking, and they still are now, which is
Oh.
awesome that our club is keeping in contact with us and letting us know what's going on.
Hmm.
So yeah, it I really had a great time working there, and like this is my first time in 14 years that I've ever not worked. Um,
Right.
so it's really weird for me. And then I'm also part of the pole community. So like my day would be 2 hours, 3 hours in the studio, and then go straight to work. So I
Yeah.
was used to that all week, and then might pick up some extra shifts. So not having any work is kind of different for me. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually one of our questions. So since we're there, we might as well talk about it. Like, how are you surviving without your work?
Um, Having no income come in is very difficult, but I've always been very aware of how I spend money and things like that. And I'm an extreme couponer, so
Okay.
stockpiling has always been my thing. I am teaching classes online. They are not consistent, but they work for now when I do get the classes.
Yeah.
Um, Waiting on unemployment because they have not released it for us yet. They're still working on everyone else, and they're
When you
saying the
say
end of the
us, what do
month
you mean? What do you mean by
for any of the sex workers, they call them independent contractors. So they are actually supposed to release funds for us, which our company did a great job of contacting the people that were wanting to apply, and then giving us spreadsheets of what we made and things of that nature because a lot of us didn't get the chance to file taxes.
Okay.
So that would have kind of counseled us out, but they've given us a way to get around it. So now it's just a waiting game.
So your employers helped you figure out how to get some benefits and your stimulus check, basically.
Yes. Yes.
That is really nice to hear. Really nice. So did a lot of you and your coworkers end up filing for taxes to
Um, I'm not really sure. Some because some of my coworkers live in different states.
mm,
And so if you live in Missouri, they just released it, I want to say like 2 days ago. And we're still waiting in Illinois because I file and everything in Illinois. So
right. And so at your club, are you guys, so you are independent contractors, so I'm assuming that you're also paying house fees and a portion of your dances and
yes.
mandatory tip out, right?
Hmm.
And what is like the overall feeling when it comes to that?
I kind of relate it to being a barber or a beautician where you're renting out your booth,
Hmm.
because even though we don't receive any funds back refund wise, writing those things off do set you up for different things you want to do if you want to go get a loan for a business or if you want to get a house. So being able to keep up with that kind of paperwork, you
Hmm.
know, that's what the taxes are basically for. But I've worked at other clubs where the house fee was ridiculous, and I think that my club seems to be pretty reasonable when it comes to the rent according to your schedule and things of that nature. So, like, I'm okay with that fee.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So, wow. Well, that actually answered a lot of my questions about like what happened after COVID. And have your employers told you that you're going to have your jobs back when things are going back to normal? Or are they going to reopen and have all you back?
Oh, absolutely. They said they've been deep cleaning. They always have someone there to, make sure that the building's well taken care of.
Okay.
And still trying to keep things as normal as possible. And still, as our governor changes the stay at home, they will text us and let us know, hey, this is where we're currently at.
Yeah.
We can't wait to see you all because we have a very great, solid group of girls. I don't think any of us are not going to come back.
That's great. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Well, not everyone has that same level of support
from their employers, which is why, we wanted to tell these stories so that we can really get an idea of who's doing what and who's doing good in this world for their workers that they rely so heavily on. So I'm very happy to hear the good news going on in your area. So thank you.
Oh yes. Yeah, being friends with a lot of dancers from all over, I'm hearing different stories, and
Yeah,
it's just like I've understand because I've traveled in dance and I've seen how some clubs run in comparison to others, and like I always say that I'm really blessed to be where I am.
that's great.
If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at yesastripperpodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at yesastripperpodcast. And you can catch the show on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, anywhere that you can find podcasts. We hope you tune in next week. I've been your host, A.M. Davies. See you soon.